Salut tout le monde, c'est Nelson. Il y a de cela 4 ans, et oui, déjà 4 ans, en 2019, j'ouvrais cette chaîne YouTube. Abonnez-vous et n'oubliez pas d'activer la cloche. Et la première vidéo de cette chaîne parlait d'un style de musique très en vogue au Japon des années 70 jusqu'à la fin des années 80, appelé la city pop. Et en 2019, quand je sors la vidéo, la city pop était déjà récupérée par internet qui l'avait dépoussiérée, recolorée et remixée pour en faire quelque chose à nouveau à la mode avec l'émergence de styles comme la vaporwave ou la future funk qui tous les deux utilisaient beaucoup de samples de city pop. Pour parler de la city pop, j'avais rencontré un DJ alors très connu sur le net nommé Paugam. Je vais résumer rapidement qui est notre DJ. Paugam est un DJ de Chicago qui s'est fait connaître sur le net grâce à ses mixtapes city pop. Puis il est venu sur YouTube où, en plus de diffuser ses mixtapes et des vidéos qui parlent de city pop, Paugam avait créé une web radio qui diffusait en live cette musique. Le succès de cette web radio était tel que la chaîne YouTube de Paugam est arrivée jusqu'à 100 000 abonnés. Mais le succès de cette web radio a agité le radar d'une association qui n'aime pas vraiment qu'on diffuse sa musique, et cela même si plus personne ne l'écoutait au Japon depuis un sacré moment, à en juger par le prix que coûtaient les disques à une certaine époque. Mais on reviendra sur le prix de ces disques un peu plus tard. Le malheur et le trépas de la chaîne de Paugam est venu d'une organisation qui tient en 4 lettres. RIAJ, Recording Industry Association of Japan, une association très puissante au Japon qui a fait fermer la chaîne YouTube de Paugam après 3 strikes pour infraction sur les droits d'auteur. Depuis, Paugam a continué son chemin, toujours animé de cette passion pour la city pop. J'ai donc profité de son passage à Paris pour une nouvelle interview, histoire de savoir ce qu'il devient depuis ces 3 dernières années. Mais ce n'est pas tout. J'ai amené notre DJ chez Arbit Vinyl, qui est à ma connaissance un des rares disquaires de Paris qui vend de la city pop, afin que Paugam nous partage sa petite sélection de vinyles préférés. Mais d'abord, Van, comment vas-tu depuis 2019?
Pretty good. I'm back in Paris, which I absolutely adore. So it's great to be back in France. A lot has changed since then. The last 3 years have been crazy, to say the least. I think everyone has been through a lot of things, and me especially with music and DJing. It's been a little difficult, but you know, music never dies, and it always needs to be played. So yeah, everything's been working out for me, at least, I think.
Tu as tourné un peu partout en Europe. Peux-tu nous dire comment ont été accueillis tes mix de city pop dans les autres pays?
I think Europeans like city pop. It has a lot of European kind of elements to a lot of the music. And it's just kind of really slick music. It always has been. The more people hear it, I think the more people like it, especially anyone who's in the kind of mentality of digging and looking for rare records. I think more people during the pandemic have gotten an opportunity to listen to the music online more because everyone was home for the past 2 years. So the music has definitely been more accepted, I think, in France especially.
Je voulais que l'on reparle de tes débuts. Comment ont commencé tes premières recherches de vinyle? Est-ce qu'il y avait un forum ou un site internet qui répertoriait les artistes de city pop?
There was a really good one called Kaio Kyoku Plus, and this is the only blog that had been documenting Showa Kaio and city pop kind of things. I really owe a lot of my information to that blog specifically. It has a wealth of information, and it existed maybe a couple years before I even started doing my own thing. So, you know, there were already someone kind of putting together lists and things like that.
Dans la première interview que j'ai faite de toi, tu disais que tu achetais beaucoup de disques parce que leur prix à l'époque était très attractif. Mais avec le peu d'informations que tu avais sur la city pop et sur ses chanteurs, comment tu jugeais de la qualité de ces albums sans pouvoir les écouter avant de les acheter?
I bought a lot of my records randomly because they were so cheap back then. You could just buy 10 records for under $100 sometimes. Half the time you had to guess if it was good. You start to become familiar with the producers, and a lot of it was usually really good. If you were to see an artist and they would also be contributing to another artist's album, you kind of had a good idea, well, this is probably going to sound good because it has a musician, a guitarist that's familiar. The aesthetics also, you have to kind of go by your intuition and kind of see if it's a style that would probably be in that category. Penny Tohyama. This one's really cool. It's one of the funkier ones that she has too. Goodbye is really good on here. Exotic Yokogao. That's a banger for sure. I really like everything on here, but of course Get My Love is one of the best ones in my opinion. And it was produced by Hikaru Flash Kanematsu, so this one's definitely a must-have collector's item. There's no represses, so you gotta get them now, and it's expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And she's one of the best artists in this style also. Really famous for what she does, and just an amazing aesthetic in all of her music and her records for sure.
Il y a quelques temps de ça, Maria Takeuchi, la chanteuse du célèbre tube Plastic Love, parlait dans un podcast du remix de sa chanson par l'artiste de future funk Night Tempo. Penses-tu que les artistes qui ont fait de la city pop à l'époque commencent à s'apercevoir de la percée de leurs chansons outre-Atlantique grâce, entre autres, au remix de leurs différents succès qui émergent sur le net?
I think the older artists are definitely feeling the attraction that their music is creating in the West, and it's just so sad that it came so late that now many of them are in their 50s and 60s. Maria Takeuchi especially, I mean, her song Plastic Love has millions of views, and she's really feeling it, I think. She's released Plastic Love, reissued it a couple times, so I mean, she knows how much we want it, and I think Future Funk definitely helped deliver it to the wider audience. It did help create this fascination with city pop that a lot of these older artists are now benefiting from, even in their old age. It's good that they knew that their music made it to the West, and it is popular now.
Et en parlant de Maria Takeuchi, la maison de disques Warner Music Japan a sorti le clip de sa chanson Plastic Love, une chanson sortie en 1984. Et plus récemment, la compagnie RCA a sorti le clip de Sparkle de Tatsuro Yamashita, une chanson sortie en 1982. Est-ce que tu penses qu'avec ces clips vidéo, les maisons de disques essaient de surfer sur le succès de la city pop à l'étranger?
I think the video for Plastic Love was an appropriate kind of marker for the future, because now you can make older songs into new kind of products for young people. And Maria Takeuchi's Plastic Love video especially, it really marks that point in history where we're going from repressing to now making videos of these older songs, videos for them, which is incredible to me.
Beaucoup d'albums classiques de la city pop sont ressortis ces dernières années, et les prix de ces vinyles ont très fortement augmenté depuis. Quelle est ton opinion là-dessus?
I think the prices right now that you find for a lot of city pop albums it's really outrageous. I feel like there's a lot of people taking advantage of the moment, opportunists that are looking to make a lot of money, who probably aren't really invested in the music at all, but they understand, supply and demand. I think the record companies are aware that people in the West especially really, really want to buy these records, and this is why we're seeing this explosion of represses. Like every other week there's a new repress of all these really classic, iconic albums that people just need to have. And right now there's records that are going for hundreds of dollars that when I bought them, they were practically free. No one really cared about selling the vinyls because no one was buying them 5 years ago. But now you'll have records that are going for $500, $600, $700. Like I've seen Junko Ohashi's Magical at $1,000 on Discogs once. So it just shows you that where there's money to be made, there's going to be someone taking advantage of that. But I think it's absurd. I think it really limits the new fans from getting these things, it's really sad.
Avant d'aller plus loin, il faut que je vous explique qui est le mec sur cette pochette de disque. Saïjo Hideki, de son vrai nom Kimoto Tatsuo, est né le 13 avril 1955 à Hiroshima. Hideki grandit dans le Japon post-seconde guerre mondiale dans cette ville encore traumatisée par la bombe atomique. La carrière de chanteur de Saïjo Hideki commence en 1972 à l'âge de 17 ans. Véritable stakhanoviste, il sortait jusqu'à 3 disques par an si l'on compte les albums enregistrés en live. Véritable star, Hideki est partout, dans les journaux, à la télé où il joue les funambules, ou en juge culinaire dans l'émission Iron Chef, genre de Masterchef complètement fou. Hideki apparaît aussi dans des publicités, est acteur au cinéma, au Japon et à Hong Kong, dans des films d'action comme Iron Angel sorti en 1987. Hideki jouera aussi dans des séries télé comme Tokugawa Buraicho, aux côtés de Sonny Shiba, où Hideki jouera le samouraï borgne, le même personnage que dans Samurai Spirit. On le verra même dans la série animée Chibi Maruko-chan, où le personnage d'Hideki fera référence à notre chanteur. Et en tant que chanteur, la carrière d'Hideki s'étend sur près de 40 ans. Véritable showman, il sait chanter, danser et performe, à l'extérieur, quelle que soit la météo. À partir de 1974 jusqu'à 1983, Hideki est le premier artiste japonais solo à donner des concerts dans des stades remplis de fans. Et à chaque nouveau concert, Hideki voit plus grand, plus haut, plus spectaculaire. Il n'était pas rare de trouver Hideki porté par une nacelle, arrivant en hélicoptère, faisant le tour du stade à moto ou suspendu dans les airs tel un ange grâce à une grue. Mais la performance a parfois ses risques, comme en 1979 où suspendu en l'air il a failli être frappé par la foudre en plein concert. Hideki a chanté naturellement en japonais mais aussi en anglais et en français. Mais il va faire beaucoup de versions japonaises de tubes occidentaux. Comme par exemple le titre Young Men qui est une adaptation de YMCA des Village People, mais dont le sens de la chanson a été modifié pour selon Hideki inspirer les jeunes hommes. Hideki a aussi chanté la version japonaise du tube de George Michael, Careless Whisper. Malheureusement, Saïjo Hideki décédera d'un accident cardiaque en 2018. Il avait 63 ans. Il sortira 4 albums city pop au cours des années 80 que je vous conseille fortement d'écouter, dont celui que Van va nous faire découvrir.
Hideki Saïjo, Gentle A Man. This is one of the funkiest records that he came out with. The best song on here is Through the Night. It's been remixed by people like Dimitri from Paris. It's one of the funkiest records out there for anyone who's a fan of Hideki Saïjo, especially. Kagaranaki no Natsu. It's also one of the best ones on here. I can't say enough good things about him. And Hideki Saïjo is just a class act. He's an amazing artist. And he has music that just hits every genre. One of the best artists from Japan. Hideki Saïjo is one of Japan's biggest stars, without a question. He's had such a discography, such an amazing life. I think Hideki Saïjo is sometimes overlooked as a city pop artist. I think he was definitely doing stuff in that era that was on the same level as Yamashita Tatsuro or Toshiki Kodamatsu. I think them as a trio, they really exemplify what city pop was, especially that specific city pop sound that everyone is really into nowadays. And he has such a very faithful fan base. And I learned about Hideki Saïjo from them. People on Twitter, handles like Midori and Golden Earrings. A lot of these people are his biggest fans, and they really helped me to understand Hideki Saïjo's life and how amazing he was as an artist. He had such a fire behind him, and he had so many good hits. He worked with legends like Yoshino Fujimaru, which is one of the most amazing also. Hideki Saïjo has so many interesting parts of his life that are able to be discovered, and in the West especially, I think his music is really starting to pick up tractions. A lot of his albums are really expensive now. I do put him in a category, a top 10 list of male city pop artists for sure.
Tu as été contacté par la maison de disques JVC pour faire le remix du titre Dress Down de la chanteuse Kaoru Akimoto. Peux-tu nous parler de cette collaboration?
I was fortunate enough to be contacted by my good friend Masataka-san. He's connected to a lot of industry people in Japan, so he kind of put it in their ear to talk to me, and JVC reached out and they offered me to do 3 remixes on the Dress Down LP by Akimoto Kaoru. So that was really special, and I got to kind of message her. She was really happy with what we did. She's really curious about our fascination with her music. I think the collaboration went well. I did the 3 remixes, and they're doing well on Spotify and Apple Music. It's good to have something that's non-future funk, because my style is not in that category. I think it's a little bit more just dance remixes. I think it was refreshing. A lot of people are receiving it well, and I think it's doing well. They contacted me to let me know that it's doing good numbers. I haven't met Kaoru Akimoto, but Kaoru Akimoto herself kind of told me that she enjoyed it. So that's a big accomplishment for me. What an LP. The jacket is amazing on it, Lighten Up, from Yoshida Minako. This is some of her best work. It's some of her best disco work. But there's not only disco on here. Lighten Up, the title track, is probably one of the biggest Japanese disco songs that you will ever hear. The introduction all the way to the final note is just class. There's nothing to say, but this record is a must-have also. Reflection on side B is probably one of the slower, like disco funk bangers. Highly recommend this one. She's an amazing artist, and this piece really, it belongs in everyone's library for sure.
La city pop est un style de musique qui n'a pas dit son dernier mot. Elle revient ces dernières années par la grande porte. En effet, on a vu apparaître ces derniers temps des artistes comme par exemple Ginger Roots aux États-Unis, Ikubaru en Indonésie et Bronze SFC en Corée du Sud. Des artistes dont les codes visuels et musicaux ressemblent beaucoup à ce qui se faisait dans la city pop. Penses-tu que ces artistes-là ont vraiment saisi ce qu'était l'essence musicale de la city pop et est-ce que tu penses que ce sont les héritiers de ce style musical?
I think a lot of these artists, they just want the aesthetic sometimes. I mean, it's hard to replicate what city pop was because singers back then, they had a specific kind of style. So I think I really do appreciate it when people try to sound like it, but it's really difficult. So I understand where they take just the aesthetic because the aesthetic alone is so beautiful. I think that we all really gravitate towards certain kind of visual stimulation, and a lot of these artists are taking inspiration from Kikuchi Momoko, Yamashita Tatsuro's albums and kind of remaking it but in their own way, which I think is really important because I think we're running out of things to kind of base our music, base our albums off of, and looking to the past right now, looking to city pop is probably one of the most important things we can do. I think artists like Ginger Root are doing amazing things with taking the style and reconceptualizing it for a contemporary audience. I think his art style, his art direction, and his music in general is amazing. And I think, you know, that he did benefit from the city pop movement, which is amazing. And Yubin and people like that in South Korea are also taking this city pop style and aesthetic and kind of moving it into the future, which I think is a natural progression for the genre. We're going to continue to take elements from it and incorporate it into stuff for the future, stuff for younger audiences, because it's such a good style of music that it's appealing to anyone in any country, even, you know, in Indonesia and Brazil, anywhere where people enjoy good music. I think city pop is going to be able to take roots, continue to grow anywhere and from anyone, any artist.
Après tant d'années à écouter les mêmes morceaux, comme par exemple Plastic Love, est-ce que tu ne penses pas qu'il y ait une lassitude de la city pop? Après tout, ce style de musique a une vie assez courte, et on a découvert l'essentiel des artistes. Crois-tu qu'on a tout vu de ce style, ou bien reste-t-il à découvrir encore beaucoup de vinyles de cette époque?
I don't think we've gotten tired of city pop. I think city pop is just starting to take off. I mean, The Weeknd just sampled Midnight Pretenders by Aran Tomoko, which is probably one of the biggest hallmark moments right now, one of the biggest milestones for city pop, because it exposed a relatively obscure Japanese artist to the wider world right now. I listen to city pop as much as I can. I try to find new things because I'm always looking for new city pop music or music that can be considered city pop. And you'd be surprised, there's always something new out there to listen to. Records that are so rare that maybe there's only one copy left. Stuff that's hidden away in record boxes somewhere in Japan that no one has opened yet or is waiting to discover. I think there's more to it. Of course, there's a limited amount. There's never going to be an infinite amount. So one day we will reach the point where there's no city pop left. But I really hope that never happens. Yeah. Toshiki Kodamatsu, he's 12. This is probably one of the best from him also. It's more of a compilation, it's a double LP. And it has some of his best work on here remixed. And it's all remixed by him. A lot of the stuff that when he was putting together his older albums, a lot of the production on it was done by other people. So this album, it's more of a compilation of stuff that he produced. He remixed it himself. And tracks like Lucky Lady Feels So Good, which is an amazing one. And Tokyo Tower is also one of the best ones on there. And for me, Hatsukoi, which is also on side one, is probably one of the best Kodamatsu songs out there. I would really suggest picking this one up. It's one of my favorites. It's gatefold, and yeah, you can find it reasonably priced. It's really great record.
Après tant d'années à mixer de la city pop, est-ce que tu comptes continuer à chercher des disques encore inédits ou bien vas-tu t'ouvrir à d'autres styles de musique?
City pop is my life. I think it's the reason I have a career, so I have a lot of appreciation for city pop, the city pop singers, Japan, all the fans who've embraced me, and everyone who has worked with me. I'm going to continue with city pop for sure, but I do want to branch off and show that I can do more than just that. At least musically, I have a broad range of tastes. You know, I'm now getting into French synth pop, which I think is so cool. So maybe that is my next journey.
La city pop est un style de musique issu d'une époque prospère du Japon qui semble à présent très lointaine. Même si l'on reconnaît les styles qui ont influencé la city pop dans les années 70 et 80, ce style de musique a fini par trouver sa propre identité. Cette identité qui inspire à présent beaucoup de monde, comme par exemple Vantage avec son dernier titre Million Miles Away en collaboration avec le groupe Milk Talk, ou encore After Five, le groupe français qui fait des reprises de titres connus de la city pop. Il est incontestable que Van Paugam a contribué, avec ses mix, à faire connaître la city pop à un public plus jeune. Et malgré les coups durs, il a continué à diffuser cette passion à travers le monde, dans tous les endroits où il est allé mixer, et je lui souhaite beaucoup de réussite dans ses nouvelles aventures. Je vais laisser le dernier mot à Van Paugam et je vous dis, portez-vous bien et à la prochaine.
I want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting me and who has given me any sort of motivation to continue, because there's been times when I've really felt like I should give up, even though it's something I really loved. So thank you to everyone who has been there for me and who sent me messages and who comes out to me at my live events and talks to me about the music and who wants to know more. It's so special, it's so wonderful that we can all share this together. I only want to continue to provide the music for people, so thank you.